Whoa, say. Now we're gonna do some moves. We'll say the church of the African way. We need to figure out what we call different. Whoa, say. I say, whoa, say. Was it the church of the African way? Well, I walked into this church one day. Was it the church of the African way? And I listened to what the preacher had to say. Was it the church of the African way? He told me about Jose, Jose. Was it the church of the African way? I learned about Jose, Jose. Hey, was it the church of the African way? Now he talked about African women and men. Was it the church of the African way? And when it came time to join, I had to stand. Was it the church of the African way? I stood up to join. Jose, Jose. Was it the church of the African way? Walk to the front and join. Jose, Jose. Hey, was it the church of the African way? Now black people come from far and near. Was it the church of the African way? Of the truth about themselves, they know they're here. Was it the church of the African way? They keep coming back to Jose, Jose. Was it the church of the African way? They keep on coming to you. Jose, Jose. Hey, was it the church of the African way? Now Jose is a place for young and old. Was it the church of the African way? It's good for body, spirit, mind, and soul. Was it the church of the African way? Talking about Jose, Jose. Was in the church of the happy anniversary to Jose. Hey, was in the church of the African way? Now people come here from near and far. Was in the church of the African way? They come to see radio. Was in the church of the African way? They keep coming back to you. Jose, Jose. Was in the church of the African way? I am singing to you. Jose. Church of the African way. Now at once they walk the sacred African way. Was in the church of the African way. We always strive to work, study, and pray. Was in the church of the African way. I'm singing to you. Was in the church of the African way. Singing this song to you. Was hey. Was in the church of the I'm singing to you. Was in the church of I'm singing this song to you. Hey, was in the church of the African way. Was in the church of the African way. Was in the church of the singing this song. Was in the church of happy anniversary. Was in the church of the one more time now. Was in the church of the African way. Hey.
Thank you so much, Baba Jeff, for that presentation. And thank you also to all of those who were singing it. I don't know everybody's voices, but some of them are starting to be familiar to me. So again, good morning, Jose. Good morning, visitors, friends, family, and welcome. Good afternoon if you're on a different coast. And just want to say welcome to everyone. Next up, we are going to have the affirmation from the Teasley Youth, and that's going to be followed by the Sounds of M.I.T with Patrice and David. So stand by for that. So please come forward, Teasley Youth, with the affirmation.
God's truth to be free and self-determined.
Creator, help us to remember the humanity, glories, and suffering of our ancestors and to honor the struggles of our elders.
Let us strive to bring a new vision and life to our people. Let there be peace and harmony among us.
Let us be loving, sharing, and creative. Let us work, study, and listen so we may learn, teach, and cultivate self-reliance.
Grant us power, O Holy One, as we struggle to resurrect our hearts and our homeland.
We will raise our children according to the needs of our nation, with discipline, patience, devotion, and courage. We will strive to be the living models of the new direction of our people.
We are an African people.
We are children of God.
Thank you so much. Sounds of M.I.T, if you're ready, we're ready for you.
Good morning, Well Say community.
Good morning.
First of all, we'd like to thank you for our prayers for our family. It's a little challenging time right now, but we get through it by the grace and with your love and support. So thanks. We're gonna play you a little tune because we get through all of this by the sight of the Creator. We don't go by our sight alone. All right, so here we go. Call on you by so many names, but that ain't important really, as much as a game, so much to lose, yeah, but so much more to gain. You've been watching over me. What cause have I to complain? 'Cause by thy side I find my way all right, and by thy light, yeah, a path through the darkest night, and through thy ways, yeah. As long as I sing thy praise, I'll be doing all right. You is my guiding light. Your creation is well ordered and good. All this chaos that we see is us not looking like we should. But the path is clear, yes it is. Seek and ye shall find. Trust in the Most High and become clear in mind. 'Cause by thy side I found my way all right, and by thy light, yeah, a path through the darkest night, and through thy ways, yeah. As long as I sing thy praise, I'll be doing all right. Father, Mother, in your goodness you watch over the sisters and brothers, and all you ask of brothers and sisters is we stand up to wickedness, this countless resistance. Will thy will be done? Thy will be done, yeah. Thy will be done. Thy will be done. 'Cause by thy side doing all, and we'll be doing all right.
Beautiful.
Rana, you're on mute.
Yeah, you're on mute, Ryan.
Sorry. No, I was just saying that, thank you so much, first of all. But I just was saying that I don't know whether or not it's raining or storming where everybody else is, but it's definitely very rainy where I am, and roads are starting to get messed up and everything. But it's just interesting how the music that's being played today, the music that Baba Malik chose, the music that Baba David chose, are all just kind of giving me this real mellow feeling and this really feeling of coming together. And it just feels good. It feels right. Next up, we are going to have the Litany of Sacrifice, and that's going to be brought to us by Sister Bobby and Baba Ed. Please come forward if you are ready. We're ready for you. Sister Bobby, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Hi.
Good morning, Wase family. Good morning. Okay,
Dr. Jaspinet.
is Ed, Baba Ed,
here.
available?
I'm here.
Okay, good morning. According, I'm just going to jump right in.
I don't see it on the screen.
Yeah, I was going to read it. Bill?
No.
I can go ahead and read it while you, if you're having technical issues, Bill.
Yes, I am.
I don't see it on the screen.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and read it because you may be having.
Bobby, can
Yes.
you just hold on just a minute? I can.
Sure.
So let's just go ahead.
Oh, there he is.
Here we go. All right.
Okay. I thought he said he was having technical issues. I didn't know how long it was going to take. Okay. Again, a litany of sacrifice. You see before you the addresses of the Woodset Oakland Church. It's that time again when we pay bills and keep the doors open and keep the work and mission of Woodset alive. So you see the Woodset of Oakland, 8924 Holly Street, and the Woodset in Sacramento, our PO Box 5271 in Sacramento. You can go to the next page here. Litany of Sacrifice. Save us, O Holy One, by your name. Vindicate us by your might. Hear my prayer, divine protector. Listen to the words of my mouth. How can we repay the Holy One for the gifts that we have been giving to us? We will lift up the cup of salvation and call upon the God of our ancestors. We will fulfill our vows to our Creator in the presence of all our people. Gladly we bring our sacrifices to you. We praise your name, O Amen Ra, for it is good.
Yes.
Ujamaa, unity. We shall strive to maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race.
Umoja.
Uchichagalia, self-determination. We shall define, name, create, and speak for ourselves.
Ujima, collective work and responsibility. We should build and maintain our communities together. Our brothers and sisters' problems shall be ours to solve together.
Ujamaa, cooperative economics. Together we shall build and maintain our own businesses and together profit from them.
Nia, purpose. We shall make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community and the restoration of our people to our traditional greatness.
Kuumba, creativity. We shall do as much as we can in any way we can to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than when we inherited it.
Imani, faith. We will believe with all our hearts in our God, our people, and in the righteousness and the victory of our struggle.
Ashe.
Ashe. Ed, did you want to do the closing?
Oh, yes.
Prayer?
Divine Creator, we thank you for all those that are able to contribute. We ask that you continue to bless the people of the way, this movement, and we ask you to continue to bless all of the people that are asking for prayer. That's my prayer, Ashe.
Ashe.
Okay, thank you so much, each of you. I appreciate that. We all appreciate that. And we appreciate everyone's contribution to all the things that we try to do as a community. So right now is where I'm going to say, I am so glad that I apologized in the beginning for something that I was going to do backwards.
Rain afflicted.
Sister Ron, we're having a hard time hearing you. Is there any way that you can turn up your volume or maybe get close? We didn't hear the last portion of what you just said.
Now you're on mute, Ron. Okay.
Is that better?
No, unfortunately, it's not.
Okay, if I can jump in now, I think the next thing that's on the agenda is the historical tribute by Brother Desmond. Brother Desmond, are you ready?
Yes, can I share my screen?
You tell me you didn't need to share.
Go ahead, man.
Okay, share my screen. Okay.
Yep.
There we go. Okay, good morning, we'll say community, brothers and sisters. My presentation today is on Eugene Webb. He was a prominent real estate developer in New York. He actually recently died this year, and that was one reason, and I came across his article reading the newspaper. So much to say about this brother. I'm gonna try to keep it short. So I'm gonna begin, I took out some slides to keep it short, but let me begin that he founded the firm Webb and Broker. He was a New York-based management real estate broker and leasing, and he had a leasing and sales company. He founded with George M. Brooker in 1968, which oversaw thousands of apartments, generating millions of dollars in rents. In addition to his role at the firm, where he began as chairman emeritus, Mr. Webb was among the founders of Carver Federal Savings Bank and the Freedom National Bank. Both banks earned a reputation for lending to prospective Blacks and Hispanic home buyers in neighborhoods like Harlem, where applicants had been rejected by other banks. Mr. Webb also played a prominent role in Harlem's contentious redevelopment history. When new projects often raised fears to the old Harlemites who would be pushed out, he was part of the team that built the 60 million Renaissance Plaza on West 116th Street in the late 1990s, which includes 240 cooperative apartments and more than 60,000 square feet of retail space. Eugene was a pioneer whose impact on diversity in this industry is largely unknown. The Real Estate Board of New York's President James Whelan and Chairman and Douglas Durst honor this man in his passing. His childhood. Eugene Webb was born on November 18, 1918 in Red Level in a small town in southern Alabama known as Sandy Bottom. His mother was named Dacia Foster Webb. Foster was her maiden name. His father was kind of unknown. He didn't really know or have his relationship with his father. His name was Eddie Webb, and he found this out according to his birth certificate, but he never met her. His grandmother, he met his great-grandmother who was also, before her mother was a slave, daughter to a slave. And his great-grandmother worked for two white families as a domestic worker. His mother, let me move this screen. His mother was a cook at a cafe and was a seamstress in Birmingham. His little small town had little records of family history, so he could not find out more about his family heritage. He heard stories about slavery from his mom when he was 5 years old. Eugene Webb had two brothers. He was a middle child. His young brother was named after his father, Eugene Webb Jr. When he went to school, his mom told him that he better go told him to tell his school his father was dead, so they didn't have to give any explanation about anything. Years later, his half-sister reached out to Eugene, telling him his father was in the Midwest if he wanted to reach out, but he never did. His grandparents lived in Red Level, Alabama. Eugene and his family lived in Ansley, Alabama, outside Birmingham. His family lived off public assistance welfare. Every Saturday, he went to the warehouse to get staple foods. His mom also brought home food from the cafe she worked at. Summertime, he visited his great-grandmother. During Christmas, his siblings didn't get toys. They played with other kids and took their toys because they're so poor. The family would go to the Baptist Training Union, the BTU they called it, all the time, coming home in a wagon, but they walked miles to church. This church was called Shiloh Baptist Church. The family was so poor during the winter, Eugene, along with his brothers, would jump on the coal train at night, push off the coals, and take them home for heat. Everyone in the community did it. Eugene got caught by the police. However, the local reverend, who was also known as the community leader, the government liaison, the lawyer, even though he was a lawyer, advocated for him, and he got off for stealing coal. His education, everyone in his family went to school because his mama said so. Whatever his mom said was done without question. He went to Parker High School, taking a streetcar, which cost 5 to 10 cents. Most kids and Eugene had to pass each grade or his mom would whoop him. And the teachers and the principals at this time were allowed to spank children for not passing, spanking them with rulers or paddles if they didn't pass or they were acting out in class. You should bring that back. No, I'm fine. Eugene was too poor to play sports and participate in extracurricular activities. He would come to work with his family, selling newspapers in the Black community, working as a caddy for golfers on the weekends, cutting grass, doing yard work, sweeping hair at a barbershop and local pool hall, and sweeping up the local pool hall. He also worked shiny shoes to survive. The town reverend, he would always go to the town reverend who always knew about local jobs. He graduated high school in 1937. He then went to the local steel mill or coal mine. After high school, he worked as a busboy in a coffee shop as well. He later on, he always wanted to be, a steel worker in a coal mine because that was the main jobs in that community at the time. You're working at the steel mill or the coal mine. He didn't like the coal mine, so he looked at the steel mill. We might get into later. After high school, he worked as a busboy in a coffee shop. He later attended Miles College, a junior college, while attending the Shine Shoes he attended Miles College, which was a junior college, and while he was attending, he was shining shoes in the hotel lobby. He liked the coffee shop better because you got tips. As a child, he always wanted, like I said, wanted to work in a steel mill as a cartman or operating, making good money. He was not interested in being a doctor or minister because there was not that many doctors and ministers in the school. There are a few Black professionals in the town. He dropped out of Mills College after getting a girl pregnant to work full-time at the mine, and he didn't like it. Then he worked for the steel mill. After on, he quit. He enlisted in the Navy, and this was around 1941, he was deployed for most of the World War II in Marshall Islands. He was discharged in New York, where a friend suggested he consider a career in real estate. He obtained a license after taking courses at Poe Institute in Lower Manhattan. After building a professional reputation, he succeeded by making connections with established firms that referred businesses to him. Basically, when he started, a friend told him, hey, come into the real estate business. He went, got his real estate license, and then later on, he got his brokerage license. And he would get these recommendations from people he worked with, and they'll give him basically the crumbs, the deals that they didn't want to do. Basically, he got crumb, they call them kind of crumb referrals. However, those referrals added up. In Mr. Webb's case, the connections were also made through Daniel L. Burroughs, a founder at the United Mutual Life Insurance Company. Mr. Burroughs was a Democratic powerhouse in Harlem and the father-in-law and mentor of the future mayor, David N. Dickens. Mr. Weber later became president of the insurance company. More plain spoken than politics, Mr. Webb was a registered Republican, although he said he proudly voted for Barack Obama in 2008. New York State hired Mr. Webb and Brooker in 1970 to manage properties taken over for the redevelopment of Times Square. By 1976, the firm was managing 6,000 properties and apartments and 20 properties in 6,000 apartments and 20 properties in Harlem, Brooklyn, the Bronx, and Queens. In Harlem, he pulled about 20 million in rents. And basically he said, hey, if we could pull all this money we combined, it's more money than some of the small towns put together in the South. Do you realize, he stated, do you realize if that money is channeled to local businesses to hire Black plumbers, painters, and contractors, what we could do? What made Harlem so nice was everyone in the communities, all the Black professionals, and how they build wealth and were able to buy properties and sell them where all the Black professionals lived in the community. He and Mr. Brooker founded the Harlem Real Estate Board, where Mr. Webb served as president. After Mr. Booker died in 1993, who was also former governor in New York, Mr. Webb assumed a policy-making role at the real estate firm and assigned to the operating control to Bernard Warren, who remained president. Mr. Webb was also a trustee at Miles College and Stillman College in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. He has survived, his survivors, let me stop right there. On April 5th, 2021, Eugene died in Mount Vernon, New York. He owned the largest Black-owned real estate management company in Harlem, New York. His survivors is his third wife, Dana Webb, a lawyer who he married in 1999. He has a daughter named Brenda, 5 grandchildren, 7 great-grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. So much more about this young gentleman. As you can see, it says history makers on there. There was so much information I wanted to give, but I had to take those slides out. It would have been an extra 10 minutes. Here's some pictures of Mr. Eugene Webb. And there's a picture of a shotgun house. This is a picture, you come in the porch, you go to the living room, you have bedroom, kitchen, and that's the end of the house. They call it shotgun houses. There's a picture of Eugene Webb shaking hands with Mr. Bloomberg. Some pictures of his younger days. And Mr. Webb, how he looked when he passed. So this historical tribute goes to Eugene Webb, a prominent real estate developer who went and got his real estate license and believes in Kujichagulia and self-determination and all that. So goes to Eugene Webb, libation in honor of his name. Amen and Ashe.
Yeah. So
Rhonda, we still can't hear you.
Citizen did something right. Yeah, he was. But I don't think he's gonna be. I think it's Brother David.
We can't hear Rhonda.
Okay, Sister Rana, we're not able to hear you clearly. It's kind of like a faint. We know that you're talking, but we can't hear what you're saying. Thank you, Brother Desmond, for that informative historical tribute. Very interesting to find out about that brother. I would like now for us to move on to, there's another song from the Sounds of M.I.T.
Yes.
And Brother David, would you go ahead and
will do.
And give us some of that music?
Okay, wow. It's a very rainy day today.
Yes, it is.
No sunshine present, but we're gonna have a song with a little bit of sunshine entitled Sunshine Mind. Because if you can't have the sun on the outside, you can at least have it on the inside, and it helps propel you. Isn't that right, folks? All right, so let's do it.
Tried to break me, but they couldn't get it done. Tried to beat me down with racism and economic blues, but I listened to my ancestors and they guided me through. They said, trust in your God, trust in your talents, live by my heart, and you'll always keep your balance. And so I've done my best to live the divine way. I slip up sometimes, but I'll make a better way. Sunshine mind, stress behind shine. I'm a little stars and sunshine mine. You're divine. You are my eyes every day, and get my balance back if I sometimes go astray. Lean on the ancients as the way they talk about it. That's the only way to really go about it. The sunshine mind. Sunshine positive and you will find stress-free circumstance and make it shine. You don't need a star to stand the sunshine mind. You're divine. You're divine. So make it shine. Sunshine lines and the stress unwind. Stress behind him you will find. You don't get a star and sunshine mind. You're divine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Thank you, folks.
Great work, great work. Thank you.
Minister M.I.T.
All right. Give thanks for that song. And now we're going to have a message from a very insightful minister who is studying with us to become a minister of Wosei community. And he has right in front of him the symbol of God among the Akan people, supreme symbol of God. Let us prepare our hearts and minds to welcome the wonderful Minister Mallie Latham.
Ashe.
Uncle Johnson there. I'm hoping that this afternoon that we leave here with our spirits lifted, that we ain't gonna let the rain on the outside do anything to lower the spirits we should have on the inside. Ashe?
Ashe.
So before I deliver this message, I must honor the tradition of asking the ancestors through our elders for permission to speak. Can I get permission from the elders, please?
Brother Minister Mallie, bring the word.
Thank you so much. Today, my topic of my message is healing the soul, with the subtitle, Getting Your Groove Back.
All right.
Healing the soul and getting your groove back. I wanted to just make an observation. There was a powerful, powerful piece of our service with the libation. And minister in training, it's not on. There's a button. Uh-oh. Okay. That sound check. I want to acknowledge that our good brother, the minister in training, Malik, did what I was really moved by that libation. One, because of the power of that song that is one of my all-time favorites, Sam Cooke, but also in the manner that the libation was developed. So I want to thank the M.I.T. because I think he brought the correct spirit to the libation celebration. Those are among many things that I think our M.I.T. Malik is doing that is showing his growth in the ministry.
Yes.
Ashe? I believe we need to compliment each other more often. That we need to lift each other's spirits more often. It's easy for us to be critical of one another. But much like I learned in the Christian ministry, that when we do homegoings and memorials, we tend to be very flowery in our recognition of people, but we rarely do we give people their roses while they're still above ground and can smell them.
Say that.
So I want to make sure that I at least do that myself. That one, I want Minister Malik to get that rose. But there are also many of us amongst our community, like Minister Marcalisi and others, who are tirelessly working to improve our condition. That many times just a small recognition can help us in that process. That we can lift one another up. We can touch one another up. And we ain't got to have 2 hours of a memorial service. We can sit amongst ourselves and just with a few precious words, let us smell those roses.
Yes.
Ashe?
Ashe.
So my topic, healing the soul and getting a groove on, is born out of history. Much of us, when we talk about history, we tend to think about the past, and there are a lot of younger folks who tend to go, well, why y'all talking about history so much? And the ideal is that history is much more than just a rendition of what those things have happened before. In fact, when I think of and I speak to history, I look at it as a cycle of living. That first we have a ancient history, a past, where these were going on that we developed our culture from. And then there is what I call the trials and tribulations, that when we came into contact with other folk, specifically those of Eurocentric backgrounds, that put us through things in life that I would consider trials and tribulations. But also there's lessons to be learned. And then there is the current time, the history we're making right now. Because many folks don't understand that as we do what we do, as the Wosake community is going in the way, we are creating history. Everything from the Leonomy to our own daily services, we are creating history right now. And so there's also the other part of the cycle of history with our life, that is the future. The future. Talk about it. And sadly, given things that are going on today, our future looks a bit challenged. Our future looks a bit troubled. And that doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from a source that we are continuing to have issues with. Y'all want to hear about it this morning? I promise there's going to be some good news with it. But first, let's talk a little bit about this source. See, we are fortunate, the MITs, that we were given a valuable lesson led by the capable and talented and young wise woman, Minister Alicia, who led us through this book called The 2000 Seasons. And it's obvious why it was selected as one of our sacred materials, because it is deep. It's deep with information that seems to be based in the past, but really is relative to the now. And in that relatively to the now, it also impacts the future. And there's a section that I want to read from that not inspired my topic, but also speaks to a past that now impacts our present.
Yes.
It's in page 146, where it is read, change or we will kill you. Before we go for it and abandon your way, forget your ancestors, forget your posterity, forget who your people are, forget your very selves, and we will let your bodies live. In other words, we were told to kill our souls,
Yes.
to let go of who we are,
Yes.
and our bodies would still be here.
Yes.
Yes, our foremothers, our forefathers, our ancestors, our predecessors made a decision. There were some who refused to take the deal.
Say that.
That's why there are many uncounted souls and bodies that are still at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. There are folks who, in spite of the conditions, said, no, I'm not surrendering. I'm not going to submit. That's why you have the Nat Turners and the Denmark Feces. And the folks in Haiti and other places where we are. And yet, a large number of us, we have to accept, did make a decision that in order for their bodies to survive, they let go of their souls. And in that decision, back then, we're still impacted today. And because of that decision, back then, we are in danger of compromising our future.
Today.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
See, undergirding this cycle of history that I talked about, where we talk about the ancient past, the trials and tribulations, and our current and our future, undergirding all of that is a spiritual connection. It is because of that spiritual connection that I believe we're still alive. But unfortunately, when you give away your soul, you lose some stuff. And when you lose some stuff, some of the things you lose is who you are. Some of the things you let go is your own identity about who you are and whose you are. You lose that spiritual part of you that allows you to flourish. And then there's a part of us that ends up missing in action. See, many of you want to act like you don't know what that means. But even today, there are situations where we're missing in action. There are places where we really don't want to be there. Yet here we are. There are jobs we show up at, meetings we're a part of. There are places we be, like family settings and circles that we're in. Even amongst people we tend to like, where our bodies are there, but we're really not there. Our bodies are present, but we're really not there because our spirits are missing in action. And many folks go through the entire lives doing that. Being present, but not really being there. Not really feeling what they're doing, but they're doing it anyway. And those type of people, also described in 2000 seasons, are zombies. They are alive, they're breathing, they're eating, they're drinking, but they're not living. They are having a crisis in their existence that is exhibited by only being present on the physical level. Yet there's more to life than just simply showing up, but simply getting up and going to work, doing jobs. There is more engaged in life that you miss out on when you don't have your soul present.
Say that.
Right.
This soulless existence, where we have lost our groove, where we ain't who we were intended to be, who we should be, who we could be, who we would be, but we're not.
Yeah.
Because when you don't have your soul in it, what you really doing? They used to call that baking the phone. See, because you really ain't participating. You might even be talking, but are you really a part of it?
Yes.
If your soul's not there, then what are you really contributing to? And like I said, it ain't all bad news.
That's right.
But we do have to get real about what it has been. Because even for folks who believe in the way, like most of us do, that are listening today, there is still a part of us that sometimes we allow ourselves to be missing in action. Sometimes we cooperate with stuff we shouldn't cooperate with. Because a part of that passage that I didn't read, when it came about the deal that the predators, the perpetrators, those invaders made for those who wanted to live on in body, is they also presented some folks that were called preachers and teachers, who gave us a philosophy that only kept us subjugated. They encouraged us to love our enemies. They told us it was some type of grandeur in suffering, that it was okay, that somehow, some way, someday, things might get better. Not because you sought the change, but eventually, maybe the people that was whooping your behind were tired of whooping your behind. But somehow there was a moral way to treat people, and then suddenly they stop mistreating you. It ain't no accident. It's not no coincidence that we have been given these type of philosophies, because as it showed in 2000 season, it fit the purpose of the oppressor.
Yes, say that.
Woo! But I'm telling you, there's some good news about this. Because one of the things of being ungirded in a spiritual way is that we got access to a treatment plan, that we have a prescription that can heal us from this soulless existence. Y'all want to hear about it this morning? You want me to talk about it this morning? Because I'm pretty sure there ain't no surprises when we talk about the problem. I'm pretty sure none of us are ignorant about the conditions and the way that the ailments and the sicknesses have showed up. Dr. Joy DeGreer talks about post-slavery traumatic disorder. And many of us are even qualified for PTSD because we truly have been traumatized by the existence of just being Black in this world. And then those things are not mysteries. Even though we can have some perpetrators like Elder or Rice or Owens who would love to paint a picture that ain't true about our condition. But see, I'm here this afternoon to open the door to not just something that I think you don't know nothing about, but also because there is a prescription, a way of addressing our ailments so that we get healed for the circumstances we're engaged in. We've got plenty of folks who will remind us of our sad state of condition. And one of the things that I think separates spirituality from religiosity is that in the way, see, our spiritual condition isn't about pointing out what's wrong with you. Uh-oh.
Say that.
All right. All right.
See, you know, there are so many Christians who are really good at telling you what's wrong with you. They know how to tell you, you need some prayer. They know how to point out your flaws and your shortcomings. Oh, yeah. And yes, we do have some, like everybody else. But the issue about spirituality is how do you engage in things that brings you closer, not just to the divine, but to one another.
Say that.
See, it's not just enough to feel good about your relationship with the divine. See, if your relationship is actually balanced and in harmony with the divine, then your relationship with others ought to be good too.
Yeah.
And the solution I'm talking about will bring that about. See, because it's not a religious issue, it's a spiritual issue. And in that spiritual condition, it works on a real life level. It does things that improve you on a daily basis. It ain't good enough just to simply be mentally aware of the things you should do.
That's right.
See, I don't think there's a whole lot of folks that don't know they could do things better. But here's the issue. Are you willing and able to do things better? And see, when you engage in this spiritual prescription, see, when you practice the things that I'm about to share with you all, you can't help but live better. You can't help but be better. You can't help but feel better. And you surely can't help but do better. Getting better is the way we get healed. Because it ain't gonna be how we jump into something and just start repeating stuff we've been told, because that's old behavior. We can mimic all the M.I.T, we can repeat and memorize the Nguza Saba, but if we don't have it inscripted in our own lifestyle, if it ain't a part of the way we live, if it ain't part of how we treat one another, how we engage with one another, how we live one another, how we be with one another, then it's not a truly spiritual experience.
Say that, brother. Say that.
It might make your brain feel better because you really got some new information, but will it actually make your life worth living?
That's the question.
So I would like to suggest that our beginning part of the prescription is held in the Nguza Saba. Because there are principles that if we engage in them on a regular basis, your life will get better. And it's more than like when I was first introduced to it. See, I came to a Kwanzaa celebration and mistakenly I thought, well, this will be the time to do it. Not realizing there's over 350 other days that ain't Kwanzaa, that I don't pay attention to those principles. It ain't just Christians who don't follow the 10 Commandments. There's some people of the way, there's some African-based folks who only tend to pay attention to spiritual principles on Sundays. Or at a celebration under the Kwanzaa, when that week comes. See, and that's not enough. That's not going to give you a life that is better. You can't just turn on these principles and then walk away and then come back later on and turn them back on.
That's right.
I say. See, I don't know about y'all listening out there, but I know the ones in here understand very clearly. This can't just be a Sunday proposition. This can't be something that sounds really good from the pulpit, but it's empty when you go home. See, this issue about the Nguza Saba has principles that are pretty straightforward. You go everything from Imani to Kuumba to Nia to Juma to Ujamaa to Kuchikagulina to Umoja, and you wrap them around you. You don't put them in a straight line where one day you do this and one day you do that. Actually, you allow the process of living those principles on a daily basis and incorporating them into your lives. See, there's a way to practice faith on a daily basis. And it ain't got to do with religion. You know, those things about religion are divisive. The things that bring us together are the issues about faith. Do you believe in a divine being? Yes or no?
I believe.
And that's enough. We get caught up in names. We want you to be loyal to Jah or Jehovah or Yahweh or Obatala or Olodumare or patah or ephah or amarah, when really the loyalty should be about the principle that a divine relationship will give you. See, when you're in a relationship with someone, you don't get separated by names. You get identified by your behavior. It's what you do that matters more than how you remember the name. Even when it comes to Saba, if you don't remember all the words in Kiswahili, but you do pay attention to the principle,
all right,
you're going to have some outcomes that get measured. And the way you get them measured is by the virtues you develop in my eyes.
Say that, brother.
Right. Yeah, see, let me show you that it ain't just my words. In the Hosea, in the 4th page, right near the beginning, it talks about in creation, it was created through my eye. And those things being righteousness, truth, justice, order, harmony, rightness, evenness, and levelness.
All right.
In other words, there's a connection between the stuff you do, the stuff you're engaged in, and the outcomes you get. You don't get justice just because you can talk good. You don't get justice. You don't understand reciprocity just because you went to a book and read about it. See, if you're not engaged in Eroja, when you're bringing people together, starting with yourself. If you don't have a determination about who you are and whose you are, who brought you to this world, then how are you going to have balance and right order in your life? If you're not capable of practicing financially a cooperation instead of a self-centered, I got mine's approach. If you ain't into a JEMA where you can be collectively concerned about the whole, that it's not me, it's we. When you get like that on a daily basis, and you ain't got to be perfect about it. See, but my purpose every day I get up is to diligently pursue those principles. See, and then I can get creative. See, I can express myself artistically. That's why Minister Makalishi can express his praise, not just in his messages, but in his song. That's why you have a brother and a sister like Nkechi of that, who can be a professional, a lawyer, and a writer, and a political activist. You see, you can become expressive when you practice those type of principles, because creativity is yours. It's a divine element, because when Ma'at brought things into existence, the divine also planted something of the divine in you.
Each of us, yes.
That's why we ain't all got to do the same thing. We ain't even got to all do it the same way, but we do have to do it together.
You say that.
That's umoja in its essence, that you are in unity first with yourself. You have a clarity about who I am, and I don't need anybody else to identify that for me. Because see, I self-determine that I speak for myself, that I can stand up for myself, that I defend myself, and at the same time, I look out for others. See, because as I get better, the world around me is going to get better too. Somebody better feel me this morning. Because you understand, when you practice principles on the level of the Nguzo Saba, there are some outcomes. And they are tangible. They ain't theoretical. They're not philosophical. They're real. They're real. We're talking about the virtues And when M.I.T talks about it in his prayers about the real and the unreal, well, see, there's a real about what we gain from being engaged with principles that matter. And then your soul will feel well because it's coming whole now. See, you're getting your groove back. Because there was a time when we marched the earth, and those were the things that led us.
Yeah.
You understand? And that doesn't mean that is lost to us. That's why we do historical tribute. That's why we do libations. Because there were ancestors who we have been standing on, who maintained those things in their worst, in humane conditions. But those conditions don't say who we really are.
All right.
That's right. See, that's how I practice my purpose. Because every day I learn something more about me, and more about my family, and more about my community. And I use it for me to grow, but also so I have more reasons to reach out to you. See, I have more reasons to be connected to you. It doesn't divide me. It connects me. It makes me more whole. And as I get better, I know my conditions get better. I can't speak for all of y'all. Because in that self-determining aspect, I surely will speak for myself. See, I know what it was to be outside, to be sick, and not even know I was sick. I understand that I was at that point, but the only reason I'm standing here today is because those principles that I was introduced to a long time ago are now prominent in my life. And those outcomes that we're all seeking, that we all can appreciate from, can become self-evident. That they can become a part of who you are. Not just your potential, but who you are currently, so that your future can only be blessed. I just want to bring this to a head because, like I said, this is good news. See, we want to get our groove back. That's right. Now, some of you might question whether you ever had a groove, but I know I had a groove. I know there was times when I was really doing well about myself, but I didn't understand that it wasn't where it should be, and it could be, and it would be. But guess what? I've been blessed long enough that I have found where my groove is. And I don't know about y'all. I don't know what your goals are. I don't know where you're trying to get to, but I tell you, you can't be mad. You can't be upset if your groove is good. See, some of y'all might not have no groove to come back to where it was all good. But I'm telling you, we have a better side. And our behaviors, our attitudes, our feelings and thoughts can only improve. I don't want to get to a point in my life where I don't want to improve, where I don't want life to get better. There ain't no such thing. It's too much good. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. But I do recognize I got capacity. I got room for more.
That's it.
Bring me more.
That's it.
Give me more. Let the ground bless us more. And let it touch us in a way that I can reach out with confidence and touch others. I say,
oh, yes, that's it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Woo. Oh my God. I'll tell you, Minister Mallie, you got us fired up, brother. You know,
growing by leaps and bounds, he is. Yes,
fired up today, Minister Mallie. Now, we'll say, I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you. Now, if you're suffering from post-traumatic spiritual disorder,
all right.
If you want to create history,
teach.
You want to face a future that is challenging, armed with my eye. If you lost some stuff, you can't find your spirit because it's MIA. Huh? Now, you just heard the magnificent Minister Mallie.
Yes.
Where can you hear a sermon that incorporates faking the funk? Huh? Where can you hear a sermon that talks about getting your groove back? Huh? Now, if you need some medicine, go to Walgreens. If you need a prescription, go to CVC or Rite Aid. If you're looking for a spiritual home that incorporates the Nguvu Saba diligently, I'm telling you, Wose is the place. Minister has laid the gauntlet down for all of us to pick up. So this is the time if you want to join this movement, if you want to join a movement of like-minded Africans who know who they are, who know whose they are, raise your black hand. Raise your black hand and join this movement. Come on now. Raise your black hand if you want to join this movement today. Let's give Minister Mallie another black hand for an absolutely powerful, inspiring, and beautiful message today.
Yeah.
He got me fired up. I want to get right now, but Minister Mallie, absolutely beautiful, brother. Minister Mallie, if you do want to join this movement, please raise your hand so we can recognize you, acknowledge you. We'll need some information from you, which you can put into the chat. But I'm telling you right now, I'm so fired up. I got to turn it back over to our host, our beautiful host, Minister in Training, Rana, because I'm fired up right now. I might say anything. I'm gonna mute myself. I might say.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Sisters and brothers, let us call the fire department, because that message was on fire this morning, burning within the hearts of each of us, talking directly to each of us. Give thanks and praise for such a time as this, as Minister Alicia would say. What a wonderful message. Is there anyone that is coming forward? I saw some beautiful comments in the chat. Minister Mallie, you need to have Brother Tyemba to save the chat for you today so that you can see the messages, because people were talking back to you not only at Holly Street, but on this Zoom service. Give thanks and praise. Very powerful. The word has been given. And though none are here, the word has been shared in a great and powerful way. Give thanks for that. And I'm going to ask Sister Katrina if she would just save just the message and so that we could just focus on that. You know, save the whole service, but just have the message so that we can reflect on it. Those of you that are can go to YouTube and go to Wose Community, and many of our services are there, as well as Black Knowledge Matters is there as well. Sister Rana is very sorry. You know, I really have to applaud Sister Rana. She's away somewhere, and still she felt duty bound to have everything in place. But sometimes technology doesn't work for us. But that's why we have, sometimes Steph Curry is cold, and then Draymond has to come in, and then Clay is going to have to come off the bench, and Iguodala is going to have to do some things. And so that's what I'm looking on this screen. That's what we have. We don't have just one person. We have a team. I love that we have a team that we can work together. We have, if we miss a pass, Brother Bill can catch it, or Brother Tyemba, or Brother Jeff. I'm sorry to bring in such basketball terminology, but I just saw a great game the other night. All right. Yes, David, you got to have your follow through. You got to have your follow through. And as Brother Quayle Tutashinda has pointed out, that Steph uses his core, and Minister Mallie's preached to us today from the very core of the Creator. Give thanks and praise for that today. Though none have come forward, the message has been proclaimed in a very powerful way. Very powerful. It was, somebody said it was a slam dunk, like Dr. J style. And the comments are still coming in. So Brother Ty, make sure that Minister Mallie is able to see that. You can save the chat, sisters and brothers, because there's a lot of comments in the chat. If you just go to those 3 dots there and just click save the chat, and then you'll have it to review in the future. All right. Minister Makalisi, would you lead us now and lift every voice and say?
Ashe, Ashe, oh, I'm all right. So, well, let me get started with referencing Minister Mallie's message. It was an awesome, powerful message. I hope it touched you like it touched me. But let me do what I'm assigned to do. Ashe, and not start up with another message. Whew. Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heaven ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the glistening skies. Let it resound loud as the roaring sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. March on with arm and rock, march on in the spirit of might, march on with septepe power every day, every hour. Let's do all we can for truth and justice throughout the land. The sacred African way, Uncle Johnson Nebashi. March on with Amen Ra. March on with Amen Ra. Ashe.
Ashe. So as we come together at the closing of the celebration, let us acknowledge that we must thank our ancestors whose presence was felt. That in spite of the rain and the wind, we had a spirit-filled service.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Yes, sir.
And so as we come together, let it be a blessing, not just here on this day, but as we leave each other's presence, that the divine one that has given us a piece of himself, of divineness, so that all of us can be a blessing to someone else. Yes. Let it all be brought together. One heart, one mind, one spirit, one spirit, and one love. One love. And all in the one who has given it all, that we are known through the centuries. Yes. Amen Ra. Amen Ra. Ashe. 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 You are the greatest, most beautiful people on the face of the earth.